The Valiant's engines roared to life. The ship shot forward, dropping its disguise and revealing its true nature. "Fire everything at the escort on the left flank," Hayes ordered. "We need to punch through their line." The Valiant's weapons blazed. The modified beams hit the Zevary escort ship, cutting through its shields. The alien vessel exploded in a burst of blue fire. "They're responding," Sam called out. All Zevary ships turning to engage. The space around them lit up with enemy fire. Eric's hands flew across his controls as he maneuvered the Valiant through the barrage. The ship shook with each near miss. "Shields at 60%, Olivia reported from engineering. "We can't take much more of this." Hayes watched as the gap created by the destroyed escort began to close. "Launch missiles. Target their communication arrays." Sam fired the missiles. They streaked toward two more escort ships, hitting their targets perfectly. The Zevary vessels didn't explode, but their movements became erratic and uncoordinated. "There's our opening," Hayes said. "Take us through, Eric. Full speed." The Valiant shot through the gap between the confused Zevary escorts. Ahead lay the massive side of the Dominion. "Boarding team ready," Ryan reported from the launch bay. His voice was steady despite the danger. "Launch when ready," Hayes replied. "We'll keep them busy out here." Small pods shot from the Valiant toward the Dominion. Inside each one, Ryan and his team prepared for the most dangerous part of the mission. They hit the side of the massive alien flagship and attached to its hull. "We're in," Ryan's voice came through the comm, beginning to cut through their outer shell. The Valiant continued to move, drawing fire from the remaining escorts. The ship took hit after hit, its shields weakening with each blast. "Shields at 20%, Olivia warned. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. On the Dominion, Ryan's team fought their way through strange, organic corridors. The Zevary defenders swarmed toward them. The boarding team pushed forward, following Natalie's maps to the central core. "We're approaching the main chamber," Ryan reported, his voice now strained. "Heavy resistance. We've lost Davis and Chen." Back on the Valiant, another hit rocked the ship. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and emergency lights flashed. "Shields failing," Olivia called out. "One more direct hit and we're done." Hayes made his decision. "All power to forward shields and engines. We're going to ram them." The crew looked at him in shock, but followed orders. The Valiant turned toward the Dominion, accelerating. "Ryan, status?" Hayes asked. "We've reached the core," Ryan replied, the sound of fighting in the background. "Uploading the virus now. It's working. Their systems are going crazy. We're heading back to the pods." Hayes nodded. "You have 3 minutes. We're creating your exit strategy." The Valiant raced toward a specific point on the Dominion's hull, the same spot Natalie had identified as housing the central node. As they approached, Zevary ships fired desperately at them, but most shots went wild as the virus disrupted their coordination. "All non-essential personnel to escape pods," Hayes ordered. "Launch on my mark." Most of the crew ran to the escape pods, but Hayes remained on the bridge with Eric, Sam, and a few others who refused to leave. "Ryan's team is clear," Sam reported. "Their pods are away." Hayes took a last look at his bridge. "Eric, set final course, and then get to a pod." Eric programmed the collision course, then hesitated. "Sir." "That's an order," Hayes said firmly. As escape pods launched from the Valiant, the ship accelerated toward the Dominion. Captain Hayes sat alone on the bridge, watching the massive alien vessel fill his view screen. The Valiant struck the Dominion exactly where Natalie had calculated. The human ship's remaining weapons fired at the moment of impact, focusing all their energy on one point. The Dominion's hull broke open. A chain reaction spread across the massive ship as the central node was exposed and then destroyed. From their escape pods, the crew watched as both ships erupted in blue-white fire. But the explosion didn't stop with the Dominion. The virus, combined with the destruction of the central node, spread to all connected Zevary vessels. Ship after ship lost control, their crews suddenly cut off from the hive mind. Days later, as the survivors gathered at the hidden base on Saturn's moon, they watched as the remaining Zeveri fleet retreated from the solar system, disorganized and leaderless. Humanity had lost Earth, but they had won their right to exist. And they would rebuild, remembering the one human warship that stood tall against impossible odds. The U.S. Valiant moved steadily toward the Dominion. For 10 minutes, their disguise held. The massive Zeveri flagship grew larger in their viewports, dwarfing the human vessel. Its surface was covered with strange growths and pulsing lights. It looked less like a ship and more like a living creature. "We're being scanned," Sam warned from his station. "They're getting suspicious." Captain Hayes nodded. "Time's up. Battle stations. Eric, full attack speed." The plan took 3 weeks to develop. Natalie worked day and night, studying Zeveri movement patterns. Dr. Garcia perfected his virus with help from Olivia, who found ways to deliver it to the alien systems. The rest of the crew prepared the Valiant for what might be its final mission. Captain Hayes stood at the front of the briefing room. The wall screen showed a detailed map of Jupiter and its moons. A large red dot marked the position of the Dominion. "This is our target," Hayes said, pointing to the red dot. "Natalie has identified a 2-hour window when the Dominion will move from Jupiter to Saturn, with fewer escort ships than usual." Natalie stepped forward. "The Zeveri avoid this region." She highlighted an area of space near Jupiter. "It's a radiation cloud left over from their attack on the Europa colony. Something in the radiation disrupts their biological systems." Hayes nodded. "We'll use that disruption. We'll hide in the cloud until the Dominion passes, then make our approach. Eric, you'll need to pilot us through the radiation." Eric Johnson studied the cloud pattern. "It'll be rough, but I can do it." "Once we're clear of the cloud," Hayes continued, "we activate Olivia's modifications. Our ship will emit the same energy signature as a Zeveri vessel. It won't fool them for long, but it should get us close enough." Sam Cooper spoke next. "When we're in range, we'll launch a direct attack on their escort ships. We need to create a path to the Dominion itself." Ryan Peterson pointed to a section of the alien flagship. "My team will board here, at this maintenance port. Dr. Garcia's virus needs to be uploaded directly to their central computer core." Dr. Garcia held up a small device. "The virus is designed to attack their hive connection. It will spread through their entire network, temporarily disrupting communication between all Zeveri ships." Hayes looked around the room. "This is our one shot. If we succeed, we might cripple their entire invasion force. If we fail..." He didn't need to finish. The crew spent the next 2 days making final preparations. Olivia checked the engine modifications twice. Ryan trained his boarding team in the simulator. Dr. Garcia ran final tests on his virus. Everyone knew what was at stake. On the morning of the mission, Hayes walked through the ship. In the mess hall, crew members shared quiet conversations. Some wrote letters to leave behind in case they didn't return. Others simply sat in silence, thinking of home. Hayes found Natalie in her lab, still working. "You should get some rest," he said. She shook her head. "I need to make sure my calculations are perfect. Our timing has to be exact." Hayes put a hand on her shoulder. "You've done everything you can. We're as ready as we'll ever be." As launch time approached, the crew took their positions. The Valiant moved silently toward the radiation cloud near Jupiter. Through the viewports, they could see the massive gas giant, its swirling storms a backdrop to their mission. Entering the cloud in 30 seconds, Eric announced from the pilot's seat, "Everyone hang on. This will get bumpy." The ship shuddered as it entered the radiation. Alarms blared as sensors went offline. The lights flickered, and for a moment, it seemed like the Valiant might not survive even this first test. Diverting power to shields, Olivia called from engineering. Core temperature rising but still within limits. Hayes gripped the arms of his command chair. "Stay on course, Eric." For 20 minutes, they moved through the cloud. The radiation bathed the ship in eerie light. Systems failed and were rerouted. The crew worked frantically to keep the Valiant functioning. Then suddenly, they emerged from the other side. The ship's systems stabilized. Ahead of them, still distant but visible on their sensors, was the massive form of the Dominion. Zevari flagship detected, Sam reported. 6 escort vessels. They haven't seen us yet. Activate the signature modifications, Hayes ordered. All hands to battle stations. This is it. The Valiant changed. Its energy output shifted to match that of a Zevari vessel. Its lights dimmed to the purple glow of alien ships. To anyone watching, it would appear to be just another escort rejoining the fleet. Hayes looked at the image of the Dominion growing larger on their screen. Begin our approach. Nice and easy. The final battle for humanity's survival had begun. The captured Zevari scout ship floated in the hidden dock they had built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. The alien vessel was smaller than the Valiant, with a smooth purple-black surface that seemed to absorb light. Science officer Natalie Wright had spent weeks studying it, barely sleeping as she tried to understand the alien technology and biology. I think I've got something, Natalie said as Captain Hayes entered her makeshift lab. Her blonde hair was tied back messily, and dark circles showed under her eyes. Hayes looked at the samples spread across her workstation. Tell me. Natalie pointed to a screen showing strange cellular structures. The Zevari aren't individual beings like us. They're more like parts of one large organism. Each ship contains hundreds of them, but they function as a single mind. A hive mind? Hayes asked. Exactly. They share thoughts instantly across distances. That's why cutting their communications hurts them so much. It's like cutting off a limb. She moved to another screen. And that's not all. Look at this. The screen showed a map of Zevari movements across the solar system. I've analyzed their attack patterns. They're not just conquering. They're consuming. The planets they take over, they mine completely. They take all resources, all organic matter, everything. It's like they're eating our solar system. Hayes frowned. For what purpose? Growth. Natalie said simply. They expand like a virus. Find a system. Consume it. Use those resources to build more ships. Then move on to the next system. A voice came over the intercom. Captain to the holding area. The prisoner is awake. Hayes nodded to Natalie. Good work. Keep studying those patterns. In the holding area, a single Zevari drone was kept in a specially designed cell. The alien was tall and thin with gray-purple skin and 4 arms. Its large black eyes watched Hayes as he entered. Can you understand me? Hayes asked. The alien tilted its head. Yes, your language is simple. Hayes was surprised. This was the first time they had managed to communicate with one of them. Why are you attacking us? You compete for resources. You must be removed. We could share resources. There's enough for both species. The Zevari made a strange clicking sound. No sharing. Only growth. The Dominion commands it. Hayes moved closer to the cell. The Dominion. Is that your leader? The Dominion is all. We are parts of the whole. The ship you call Dominion holds the central node. It directs us. Hayes tried to hide his excitement at this information. And if something happened to this central node, the alien's eyes widened slightly. Impossible. The Dominion is protected by our entire fleet. Where is it now? The Zevari went silent, realizing it had said too much. As Hayes left the holding area, he met Ryan Peterson in the corridor. The drone told me about their command structure. They have a central node on their main ship. Ryan nodded, like a queen in a beehive. Exactly. If we could somehow reach it. Hayes didn't finish the thought. It seemed impossible. Later that day, the Valiant senior officers gathered in the briefing room. Natalie shared her findings about the Zevari biology and behavior patterns. Based on their movement data, she concluded, I believe the Dominion is currently near Jupiter. They're using it as a staging area while they finish consuming Mars. Sam Cooper studied the tactical display. The Dominion is never alone. It's always surrounded by at least 20 warships. Olivia Blackwell spoke up. The technology we found on their scout ship is giving me new ideas. I think we can modify our engines to match their energy signature. We might be able to fool their sensors, at least for a short time. Dr. Garcia added, and I've been working on a virus that could disrupt their hive connection. If we could deliver it to the central node. Captain Hayes looked around the table at his crew. For the first time since Earth fell, he felt something close to hope. Then we have a mission, he said. We find the Dominion. We get close enough to plant Dr. Garcia's virus, and we destroy their central node. No one spoke for a moment. They all knew what he was suggesting was nearly suicidal. How do we even get near it? Eric Johnson finally asked. Hayes looked at Natalie. You said they follow specific patterns. We need to predict where the Dominion will be vulnerable, even for a moment. Natalie nodded slowly. I'll start working on it right away. As the meeting ended, Hayes knew they were planning their most dangerous mission yet. But they had no choice. The hunter had become the hunted, and their time was running out. 2 months after Earth fell, the U.S. Valiant hid in the rings of Saturn. The ice particles and rocks provided perfect cover from Zevary scanners. The ship had changed during these hard months. Its hull now bore scorch marks from battles. New weapons protruded from spots that once held science equipment. Inside the bridge, Captain Hayes studied a 3D map of nearby space. Red dots showed Zevary supply ships moving between their new bases. Their next convoy will pass through the Titan corridor in 6 hours, Sam Cooper said, pointing to the map. 3 supply ships with only 1 escort. They're getting confident. Hayes nodded. Too confident. That's good for us. He turned to the ship's pilot. Eric Johnson, can you get us behind that moon and keep us in its shadow? The young pilot smiled. I can dance this ship through the rings if you need me to, sir. Good. We hit them fast and then disappear. Hayes pressed a button on his chair. All hands, battle stations in 5 hours. The Valiant had become a ghost that haunted the Zevary. Strike quickly, cause damage, and vanish. It was the only way to fight against their superior numbers. Security Chief Ryan Peterson entered the bridge. His uniform was dirty from his latest mission. Captain, our contacts in the mining colony sent new information. The Zevary are building something big on Io. Hayes frowned. What kind of something? Not sure, but they're moving a lot of resources there. Ryan handed Hayes a data chip. Also, we found more survivors hiding in the abandoned stations near Europa. I've added them to our network. Hayes took the chip. In 2 months, Ryan had established a hidden network of human survivors across the solar system. These people provided the Valiant with intelligence and supplies. In return, the ship protected them from Zevary patrols. Good work, Hayes said. How many survivors have we confirmed now? Just over 6,000, Ryan replied. Most are miners and engineers who hid when the attacks came. 6,000 out of billions. Hayes pushed the thought away. They couldn't dwell on what they'd lost. Later that day, the Valiant waited in the shadow of Titan. The giant moon hid them from the approaching Zevary ships. Weapons ready, Sam reported from his station. The new missiles are locked on their communication arrays. Just like last time. Hayes nodded. On my mark. Fire. The Valiant burst from behind Titan. The modified missiles streaked toward the Zevary convoy. They hit their targets perfectly. The alien ships spun in confusion as their ability to communicate with each other was cut off. Full attack speed, Hayes ordered. Hit the main supply ship first. The Valiant's new weapons fired. Beams of energy, created using the reversed Zevary technology, sliced through the alien shields. The first supply ship exploded in a ball of blue fire. The escort vessel is turning to engage, Sam warned. They're charging weapons. Evasive maneuvers, Hayes called. Eric Johnson's hands flew across his controls. The Valiant rolled and twisted, avoiding the enemy fire. One blast grazed their shields, causing the lights to flicker. Shields holding at 80%, Olivia reported from engineering. But I wouldn't recommend taking another hit like that. Hayes watched as the second supply ship tried to flee. Target their engines. The Valiant fired again. The supply ship drifted to a stop in space, disabled but not destroyed. Sir, the last supply ship is escaping, Sam reported. And I'm picking up signals. They're calling for help. Hayes knew they had only minutes before more Zevary ships arrived. Board the disabled ship. Take whatever intelligence and technology you can find. 5 minutes, then we're gone. Ryan Peterson and his security team launched toward the crippled alien vessel in boarding pods. The hunt for information was almost as important as the attacks themselves. As the Valiant waited, a message came through their secure channel. A frantic voice spoke. "This is Dr. Lee from the Io mining colony. They found us. The Zevary commander himself is coming. Someone called Kral. He's hunting for the Valiant specifically now." Hayes exchanged looks with Sam. Their successful attacks had gotten the enemy's attention. The hunter was becoming the hunted. The U.S. Valiant left Mars 12 hours ahead of schedule. The final modifications had been rushed, but the news from Earth was too urgent to wait. The ship moved silently through space, its new engines barely making a sound. On the bridge, Captain Hayes sat in the command chair. The screen showed the position of Earth and the approaching Zevary fleet. "Status report," Hayes ordered. Lieutenant Sam Cooper looked up from his tactical station. "Our new shields are holding at 98%. Weapon systems are online. The stealth system Dr. Garcia installed is working so far. No sign the Zevary have detected us." Hayes nodded. "Set course for Earth. Maximum speed." As the Valiant accelerated, Communications Officer Maya Rodriguez monitored the signals from their home planet. Her dark eyes were fixed on her screen, her hands moving quickly across the controls. "Captain, I'm receiving hundreds of distress calls from Earth," she said. "The Zevary have begun their attack. They're targeting major cities first." Hayes stood and moved to her station. "Put it on the main screen." The large display at the front of the bridge came to life. It showed multiple views of Earth. Beams of energy cut through the atmosphere, striking cities below. Defensive fire from the ground tried to hit the alien ships without success. "Can you get a direct link to Admiral Bennett?" Hayes asked. Maya worked her controls. "I'm trying, sir. There's a lot of interference." After a moment, she looked up. "I've got her." Admiral Bennett's face appeared on screen. She was in the underground command bunker. Dust fell from the ceiling as the ground above shook. "Captain Hayes," she said, "I see you launched early. We're en route to Earth now." Hayes replied. "What's your situation?" Julia's image shook as another explosion hit above. "Not good. Their main ship, the one they call the Dominion, is directing the attack. It's larger than anything we've seen before." "We can be there in 4 hours," Hayes said. Julia shook her head. "No, stay away. Earth is lost. Follow your original mission. Hit their supply lines. Find their weaknesses." "Admiral," Hayes began. "That's an order, Captain," Julia interrupted. "Earth forces will fight as long as we can. We'll evacuate as many people as possible to the deep space shelters." She looked off screen. "They've breached the upper levels. I have to go." The screen went blank. Maya Rodriguez removed her headset slowly. "Sir, I'm losing signals from Earth defense stations one by one." The bridge was silent. Every person there had family or friends on Earth. "Put me on shipwide," Hayes said after a moment. Maya nodded and pressed a button. "You're on, sir." Hayes took a deep breath. "This is the captain speaking. As many of you know, Earth is under direct attack. Admiral Bennett has ordered us to continue our mission rather than return to fight." He paused. "Earth may fall today, but humanity will not." He looked around at his crew before continuing. "Each of you was chosen for this mission because you are the best at what you do. Now we have become more important than ever. We are not just a ship. We are the hope of our species. Throughout the Valiant, crew members listened. In engineering, Olivia Blackwell wiped tears from her eyes, but kept working on the engines. In the science lab, Dr. Garcia stared at his family photo before turning back to his research with new determination. We will carry the fight to the enemy, Hayes continued. We will hit them when they don't expect it. We will make them fear us. And one day, we will take back our home. As Hayes finished speaking, the main screen showed a bright flash from Earth. One of the Zevary weapons had hit a major power station, causing a chain reaction. Course change, Hayes ordered, his voice firm. Take us to the Saturn mining colonies. We'll start building our resistance there. The U.S. Valiant turned away from Earth, its new mission clear. They were no longer fighting to protect their planet. They were fighting to avenge it. The hidden facility on Mars was a hive of activity. The U.S. Valiant sat in the center of the massive underground hangar. Workers swarmed around it like ants, adding new parts and tearing out old ones. Sparks flew from welding torches as the ship was transformed. Chief Engineer Olivia Blackwell wiped sweat from her forehead as she studied the alien device. The piece of Zevary technology pulsed with faint blue light. I think I figured out how their shield matrix works, she said to the man beside her. It's not just energy deflection. It actually shifts the molecular structure temporarily to allow energy to pass through without damage. Dr. Alan Garcia nodded. He was the leading physicist from Earth's Science Academy. His glasses reflected the blue glow as he made notes on his tablet. If we can reverse the polarity here, he pointed to a small crystal in the device, we might be able to create a weapon that passes through their shields. Olivia smiled for the first time in days. Let's try it. Across the hangar, Captain Daniel Hayes walked through the entry door. He was tall, with a scar running down his left cheek from an old battle. His eyes scanned the activity, noting every detail. Lieutenant Sam Cooper hurried over to meet him. Captain Hayes. Thank you for coming. Hayes didn't smile. I was told this is our last hope. Is that true? Follow me, Sam said. They walked through the busy hangar toward a small office. Inside, Admiral Bennett looked up from her desk. Captain Hayes, she said, standing to shake his hand. It's been a while. 5 years, Hayes replied. Not since you denied my proposal for faster-than-light combat maneuvers. Julia smiled tightly. Times change. Those maneuvers are exactly why you're here now. She pressed a button, and a 3D map of the solar system appeared above her desk. Red dots showed Zevary positions. There were hundreds of them. Blue dots showed human defenses. There were very few. Earth will fall within a month, Julia said plainly. Maybe sooner. The Valiant is being retrofitted with modified Zevary technology. It will be faster, stronger, and able to hit the enemy in ways they won't expect. Hayes studied the map. One ship against their fleet. A special ship, Sam added, with a special crew. Julia handed Hayes a tablet. This is your mission. You won't be trying to win the war alone. Your job is to find weaknesses, disrupt their operations, and buy us time to evacuate as many people as possible to our deep space shelters. Hayes scrolled through the information. You're giving me complete freedom of operation. Yes, Julia confirmed. No rules. No oversight. Just survival. Hayes looked at them both. When do I meet my crew? Later that day, Hayes stood before 20 people in the facility's briefing room. They were a mix of military officers and civilian specialists. You all know why we're here, he began. The Valiant is our last card to play. We'll be outnumbered and outgunned. Our job is to be the thorn in the enemy's side that they can't remove. He pointed to a woman with short, dark hair. Chief Engineer Blackwell will explain the modifications to the ship. Olivia stepped forward. We've integrated Zevary shield technology with our hull. We've also modified our weapons to penetrate their defenses. Dr. Garcia has created a new type of missile that can disrupt their communication networks. Hayes nodded. We leave in 48 hours. The Zevari think they know everything about human ships. We're going to prove them wrong. As the briefing ended, a young communications officer approached Hayes. Sir, we've just received word. The Zevari have broken through the Earth defense line. They'll reach our home planet in 3 days. Hayes looked around at his crew. They had heard the news. Fear showed on some faces, determination on others. We launch tomorrow, he announced. Every hour counts now. That night, as the crew prepared, Hayes stood alone, looking at the Valiant through the observation window. The ship no longer looked fully human. Parts of it glowed with alien technology. It was a hybrid, just like their mission. Not quite a warship, not quite a scout, but something new. Humanity's last hope. 3 months had passed since the first attack. The Zevari invasion had grown worse each week. Admiral Julia Bennett stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense station, her eyes tired from lack of sleep. The large screen in front of her showed the remains of humanity's outer defense fleet. Status report, she ordered. Colonel Frank Harris swiped across his tablet. We've lost contact with the Jupiter outpost. The mining colonies on Europa are under attack. The Saturn defense ring is holding, but barely. Julia nodded, her face grim. Humanity was losing this war. The Zevari ships were faster, stronger, and had weapons that cut through Earth's best shields like they were paper. What about the Mars counterattack? She asked. Failed, Frank replied. We lost 17 ships. The Zevari lost 3, but they've already replaced them. Across the room, a young officer stood up from his station. Admiral, incoming transmission from the U.S. Valiant. They engaged a Zevari scout group near Neptune and are reporting a successful retreat with minimal damage. Julia turned quickly, put it on screen. The main display showed a tired but excited Lieutenant Sam Cooper. His uniform was dirty, and smoke clouded the bridge behind him. Admiral Bennett, the Valiant managed to disable 2 Zevari ships using the new approach I suggested. We targeted their communication arrays instead of their weapon systems. Once cut off from their fleet, they became disorganized and made mistakes. Julia leaned forward. Casualties. We lost 2 support ships, but the Valiant survived, Sam reported. We've collected data on their ship design weaknesses. I believe there's a pattern to how their tech works. For the first time in weeks, Julia felt a spark of hope. Get back to Earth as fast as you can, Lieutenant. Bring everything you've learned. The screen went dark. Julia turned to her staff. I want a full briefing when the Valiant arrives. This Lieutenant Cooper might have found something we can use. 2 days later, Sam Cooper stood before the Joint Chiefs in the underground command center. The bunker was 100 feet beneath what remained of Washington, D.C. above them. The city was mostly empty, its people evacuated to underground shelters across the country. The Zevari ships operate as a network, Sam explained, pointing to his diagrams. When we cut off their communication, they lose efficiency. Their weapons are still deadly, but their response time slows down. General Peter Williams frowned. We've lost over 60% of our fleet. Even with this knowledge, we don't have enough ships to fight them. That's why I'm proposing Project Last Stand, Julia said, stepping forward. We take our newest ship, the U.S. Valiant, and upgrade it with everything we've learned about Zevari technology. The room filled with murmurs. We recovered parts from downed Zevari ships, Julia continued. Our scientists think they can integrate some of their tech with ours. The Valiant was built with experimental adaptive systems. It's our best chance. 1 ship against their fleet, General Williams asked. That sounds like suicide. Not if we make it a ship like nothing they've ever seen, Sam argued. Fast enough to hit and run, strong enough to take a hit, and smart enough to exploit their weaknesses. Julia nodded. We need a special crew, the best we have left, and we need a captain who thinks differently. I have someone in mind, Sam said. Captain Daniel Hayes. He was teaching at the academy when the war started. Before that, he won the Battle of Titan's Belt against the Separatists when he was outnumbered 5-1. Julia knew the name. Hayes was brilliant but difficult. He didn't follow rules, but maybe that's what they needed now. "Find him," she ordered, "and get the Valiant to the Mars facility immediately. We'll give you every resource we have left." As the meeting ended, Sam looked at the latest battle reports. 3 more colonies had fallen. Earth's moon base was under attack. Time was running out. In the darkness of space, the Zevary fleet moved steadily forward, destroying everything in its path. The stars looked peaceful from the bridge of the U.S. Defiant. Captain Ethan Morgan stood with his hands behind his back, watching the distant sparkle of New Haven colony. The human outpost was just a small collection of lights on the dark side of the planet. It was the furthest human settlement from Earth, a brave push into the unknown. "Captain, I'm picking up unusual readings," said Communications Officer Lisa Wells. Her fingers moved quickly across her screen. "There's a large object dropping out of faster-than-light travel near New Haven." Morgan turned to his science officer. "Jack, what are we looking at?" Lieutenant Jack Ruse adjusted his instruments. "Unknown ship type, sir. It's massive. At least 20 times our size." The bridge fell silent. Humans had yet to meet another spacefaring species. This could be history in the making. "Open a channel," Morgan ordered. "Broadcast on all frequencies in all known human languages." Lisa nodded. "Channel open, sir." Morgan straightened his uniform. "This is Captain Ethan Morgan of the Earth ship Defiant. We welcome peaceful contact and communication." They waited. Seconds stretched into minutes. "Sir," Jack said suddenly, his voice tight, "the alien vessel is powering up something. Energy readings are off the charts." Before Morgan could respond, a beam of blue-white light shot from the alien ship toward New Haven. The beam touched the planet's surface, and a wave of fire spread across the colony. "My God," Morgan whispered. The colony of 15,000 people vanished in seconds. Where New Haven had been, a glowing crater remained. "Battle stations," Morgan shouted, snapping out of his shock. "Get us out of here. Maximum speed. We need to warn Earth." The Defiant turned and accelerated away as the alien ship began to move toward them. The human vessel shuddered as engines pushed beyond safe limits. "They're following, sir," reported Navigator Paul Bennett. "They're gaining on us." Morgan gripped the arms of his command chair. "Send an emergency transmission to Earth Command. Include all sensor data of the attack. Make sure it gets through." "Transmission away," Lisa confirmed, "but they're jamming our regular communications." "Sir," Jack called out, "I'm analyzing their weapon signature. It's like nothing we've seen before. Some kind of energy that breaks molecular bonds. Our shields would be useless against it." The alien ship fired again. The shot passed just above the Defiant, a warning that they could destroy the human ship at any time. "Why aren't they finishing us off?" Morgan wondered aloud. "Maybe they want us to carry the message," suggested First Officer Karen Howard. "To show what they can do." Morgan nodded grimly. "Then let's not disappoint them. Push the engines harder. We need to reach the Johnston relay station." 3 days later, Morgan stood before the Earth Defense Council, his uniform still stained with coolant from emergency repairs. The room was filled with military leaders and government officials, all wearing expressions of disbelief and fear. "The colony was destroyed without warning or provocation," Morgan explained. "Since then, we've received reports of 3 more attacks on outer settlements. These aliens, the Zevary, according to the partial transmission we intercepted, have superior technology and show no interest in communication." Admiral Grant leaned forward. "What are your recommendations, Captain?" "We need to pool all our resources," Morgan said firmly. "Evacuate the outer colonies, strengthen our core defenses, and prepare for war. This isn't a misunderstanding or a single attack. The Zevary are methodically destroying everything human they find." As Morgan spoke, another officer rushed into the room and handed a note to Admiral Grant. The Admiral's face paled. "It's begun," he announced. "The Zevary fleet. At least 50 ships has been detected entering our solar system. They'll reach Mars in 26 hours. Morgan looked around the room at the stunned faces. Humanity had never faced a threat like this. But they would fight. They had to. We stand together, Morgan said, or we fall alone.